So if you don't recognize me, I'm the one in the back that got called an old lesbian at the beginning of the show, which is frankly fucking devastating because I spend a lot of money on skincare. And here's the thing, I am under 30 and I don't look like Justin Bieber. I look like if Miss Frizzle never found science. She was out here like, maybe I'll have sex instead. Should have dressed sluttier for that joke.
Hello, and welcome, one and all, once again to an early edition of the Snide Show this evening on the Snide Stream. Today on the show, we've got the illustrious, dynamic comedian, drag king, and theatrical performer, Kenny Rooster. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I am delighted to be here.
And we're delighted to have you. And Kenny will not only be on this show, but also will be live and in the flesh this Thursday at the Happy Skunk show we got going on, the 420 comedy show. If you're in the New River Valley area, once again, I think there may be 2-3 tickets left, so get them now or go to the door and pay $5 more. And yeah, it's going to be a blast. Out now. The Snide Show 420 special. Watch or listen to the seasoned and baked comedy show that swept the sleepy, hungry town of Christiansburg, Virginia. You can enjoy 420 anytime now with this irreverent live podcast episode featuring Sage DeLong.
I feel like you take one bong rip and then suddenly you just never need to shower again. That's what I've gathered from stoners I've met.
Joe Bridges.
I'm the oldest and least experienced comic tonight. I usually get stoned after I perform, but I really hope that nobody throws any rocks at me tonight.
And Baltimore's own Kenny Rooster.
Hello, Mr. Lobster. You're really cute, so we're gonna play. But then I'm gonna eat ya because you're delicious.
With a special edition of Topical Punch.
I think that, to be honest, I got a little lost, so I have more questions than answers about this, but I'm pretty sure they were all, I don't understand the financial system, I don't know what you're gambling for. Did they give you the weed and then you're gambling for the weed? Do you win more weed?
That's what I...
Oh, so no one knows.
And a Munchies extravaganza on the Rye 5.
I was thinking about what 5 foods would shock a pilgrim, and I'm going to use that. That's my Munchies now. So number 1 for me is number 5 is going to be Pop Rocks. That's going to be my first.
Don't miss this Laugh Pack special. Check it out now on YouTube, Spotify, and all your other favorite podcasting platforms. Follow us there, Snide Stream on Twitch, or the Snide Studios Facebook page to stay tuned to the growing hijinks. And for more Snide Squad information, visit snidestudios.com. Be there or be a square.
I'm so excited. It is going to be so fun.
It is going to be weird, wonderful fun. So first on the docket, we got the Slice of Life. This is the Slice of Life segment where we all offer up a slice of our lives to give our viewers and listeners a taste of our worlds before diving into the courses we have here on the menu today. Kenny, what's new in your world?
What is new in my world? Well, I am running a drag and stand-up comedy show at the Port Comedy Club in Baltimore, and I am loving it. I'm so excited about it. I co-host it with Dickolas Cage, my drag persona. And so Dickolas starts off hosting the show. He disappears halfway through, and then Kenny has to take it over. So there is, I grew up in the theater world, so I like always forget that in other spaces, people like get really weird if you do costume changes in front of people. I'm whipping out these titties. I don't have to. I'm like, you can look away. You can exit the room. But go watch the show, girl. But I'm like, no. My like ass cheeks are out. We gotta move. We got speed is more important than modesty. So
live and in the flesh.
Yeah, no, exactly. Live and in all of the flesh. I forgot. So I bring a Kenny costume and I bring a Dickolas costume. And the last Saturday show we had, so the last show that we had, I couldn't find the Kenny costume. I'm like running around once again, like titties out. I like want to believe, no, I definitely had underwear on because I'm sure that everyone would have vacated the room if it had just been full pubes. But yeah, so I'm running around and I was like, oh my God, I like can't find my Kenny costume anywhere. And so all I could find was a corset, and Dickolas oftentimes ends up wearing lingerie on top, which I reveal partway through the act. And I love the gender fuckery of that, but honestly, it's because binders are really uncomfortable, and that's my excuse for
to
not
just
doing
shut
that.
them. Yeah.
Exactly. I always have
funny.
Dickolas say that he stuffed his bra just for this occasion. So that's
right.
So I had the little bit of lingerie, which ends in a thong, that I also had from Dickolas's show. So I ended up going out in that thong and that corset, and that was Kenny's costume. And
I saw the pictures from that. You're talking about the Hen House shows, right?
Yes,
those
Penthouse.
I
baby.
love the clips. I love the pictures. I want to be there so bad. Like anytime I see those, because it just looks like a blast. And how y'all translate that to the clips, you know, because sometimes you see clips of fun shows and it only works when you're there for some shows. But those shows that you've got, the Hen House shows, work like in those pictures and clips where you're just like, wow, what, like to be like it, they're hilarious. They really are hilarious.
Thank you. That's super wonderful to hear. Yeah, I mean, the show is just a blast, and I work with this photographer who is just incredible, and he gets the most amazing shots of the comedians, but also of the drag performers. And it's just, it's really awesome because having high quality photos really helps with the advertising and with getting, I'm so sorry, I blacked out. Somebody texted me in my ADD. Like,
but yeah, just getting it out there, just getting the bringing that experience to the virtual realm, essentially.
Yes, exactly. So that I can tantalize the people into coming to my show.
Yes, and tantalize. That's a great word for it. I mean, the truth or dare segments that y'all have, where it's the like, you know, I mean, people are putting it all out there. It's one way or another.
Yes, that is a different show.
Wait, that's okay. Sorry, I'm getting a little confused. Sorry.
No, that is totally fine. So, the incredible high quality photos of drag and comedy are Hen House, and the incredibly low quality but incredibly entertaining boomerangs of Truth or Dare.
Those are still hilarious. Those are still hilarious. But
yeah. No, those are. I love my Truth or Dare show. It's so much fun. I have the most inconsistent audiences because God love them, but the bar who hired me is just an absolute mess. And like, so yes, no, absolutely. And so the audiences are like, sometimes we have a full house and sometimes we have 3 people. So I know. So we're working on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I don't know how anyone in the area could be sleeping on those shows. Cause again, and like I said, you're just so dynamic as a performer. The fact that you got all this stuff out there, it's just wow, you know. You know, you definitely have to have that personality, that kind of extrovert. You're like, you know, you're a person of the people. You know?
Thank you. That is the dream, to be a person of the people.
Yeah. And you know, and maybe I'm just biased, but you know, I love drag comedy. I love gender fuckery. I love just, you know, whether you know, is, you know, the art of it, but also the expression of it, and just, you know, questioning and challenging, you know, society, or at least those cultural norms, you know. Again, it's just, I'm all about it. I'm all about it.
Yes.
You know,
It is. It's a super beautiful thing. And I think that Baltimore has a lot of queer folks, but not a lot of, that I have found at least, like the same sort of developed community spaces. And so I think I'm really trying to add to that, especially because I think that the Baltimore comedy scene, like many are, like, it's very dominated by a lot of straight cis men. And you just truly, I mean, we are in 2006, bitch. We are really, people are like just saying the horrendous stuff where I just am like, oh, okay, I should never bring people here, is what I'm learning.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
folks can only take so much before they lose faith in humanity and also stand-up comedy.
Well, going back to a little bit of what you were saying about, I mean, alternative people, you know, whether it's LGBT or just counterculture people, they're here, but unfortunately, so many of them have, and I talk about this all the time on this show, off the show, but they've become kind of insulated. You know, a lot of people, you know, they're living in here. They're living in the phone. They're living in the internet. They're living, you know, creating their safe space in that virtual realm. But coming back around to the whole think global, act local thing, we gotta, you know, we gotta make these safe spaces physical. We gotta have
100%.
Have it reflected in our real communities, like the, you know, real bonding in person.
100%. And I think, you know, there just is no substitute for that. And I think that it also is really incredible because the more that these spaces exist, I think the more, you know, community bonds that are built, the easier it is to, yes, you know, like flirt a little, laugh a little, but also just to find friends who are like you, who support you. And I think that is something that I know I have really been missing, is some sort of community space to just socialize and to just meet new people. And, you know, when I go to the club, I go there to dance. Don't try to talk to me. Don't try to dance with me. I am a solo act. I'm seducing myself. Don't do it. 100%. Oh, I'm cutting it up. And people are always like, they come up to me and they're like, oh, you love to dance. And I'm like, I do. So leave.
Yes. You're not here to talk. Yeah.
No, you can dance near me. You can dance next to me. Live for yourself. But I don't do I don't want to stand in a circle and like make semi-awkward eye contact while we're all just like doing a little shoulders, a little two-step. No. I'm a drag performer, baby. I'm really, I'm getting it. I don't go to the gym. I go to the club. So I'm really trying to get all of that mobility movement in there.
Yeah.
I'm in for this, man. Get away from me, bitch.
Yeah, again, you're a treasure, and I'm here for it. I consider you now just a sibling in arms, just because we're like on the same thing of like, again, just bringing getting these people out here and creating these spaces. On that note, let's get to know you a little more with our Hot Sqoop segment, where this is our interview segment of the Snide Show, where rather than putting our guests in the hot seat, we serve up a scoop of hot questions and see what kinds of questions or what kinds of answers they cough up.
Okay, love it.
So, how did you get your start in the world of performance, Kenny?
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I'm a caricature of myself. So I did go to Sarah Lawrence College, and they had a like comedy program there that I knew nothing about when I first went, and ended up really changing my life. I went through this horrible breakup at the beginning of my sophomore year, in which I lost a lot of my friends, not all of my friends, because as it turns out, they didn't like me as much as they liked my ex-partner, and this is now a tragedy. Thank you so much. And so I ended up just being like, you know what, I will rebirth tiny dog. I will rebirth myself, and I am going to become the biggest news on this tiny campus. So I signed up for everything I possibly could, including this improv team that was like so much more of a big deal than it truly should have been for improv. And, you know, in very classic liberal arts fashion, nothing is in the natural order of things. So the improv kids were the cool kids on campus. That's it. Yeah, exactly. And
that's awesome. That's awesome.
So I, you know, started to get into comedy through improv, and I've always loved making people laugh. And so then there was this class called Comedy Workshop that was offered, and the second semester was a stand-up comedy segment where they essentially like taught you, everybody wrote a type 5, mine was a loose 6, I will say, and we all had to perform at this like random vegan restaurant in New York City. It was like, you know, any opportunity is great opportunity, but that was random. And then for the school itself, so that's when I wrote my like first truly type 5. There was this comedy group on campus that I had gotten involved in that I think never really took off in the way that we wanted it to. And I did write a stand-up set for that 2 years earlier, but it wasn't so much a stand-up set as like me getting up there and being like, these are some things that have happened that I'm actively processing in this moment, laugh or don't. And then I have a lot of health issues. So I moved to New York with every intention of, you know, doing comedy and doing theater, but I was super limited by how unwell I was. And by the time I started to make any strides at all towards figuring out what was going on, the pandemic happened. And
okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was living in Blacksburg for most of it. And then when the vaccines came out and mandates were starting to lift and like public gathering was the thing again, I moved to Baltimore and I started doing comedy here, and have been doing it really consistently for the past year. And so I would say that cumulatively, I maybe have like a year and a half of experience. But I feel like my comedy career really began when I was in Baltimore, because I was able to just do it consistently, go to mics, grow as a performer. Because when I was, you know, unable to go to as many things as I wanted to because of my health, you know, like open mics were so stressful because I was like, I have to put on the performance of a lifetime. And I'll tell you, I never did. There is open mics, I would not say are the place for the performance of a lifetime.
Yeah. So like you said, that's for working things out, really.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite an odyssey, and not unlike some of the things I've heard, though. You know, these origin stories just fascinate me. But where does the drag performance come into play?
So I am non-binary, and I use all pronouns. I know what I look like, so most people are just like, oh, cool, she. And that is just what it is, and it's fine.
Right.
But I think that I used to be much more butch when I was younger, and then I changed my gender presentation because, as it turns out, I'm not that good at being traditionally masculine. And also, what they don't tell you is when you're butch, people don't fuck you back. And that is not what I came there for. The L word did not prepare me for that.
Yeah. And, I've heard similar things with... well, I'm sorry, continue.
No, hit me.
I've heard similar things with in some gay relationships where there's the person that's presumed to be the bottom at some point has some sort of frustration where they're like, look, I'd like to switch it up sometimes.
100%. I think it is really fascinating / disturbing how much of straight culture still sort of is insidiously adopted by queer folks. I think in large part because like assimilation is often a road to survival, but you know, the powers that be really limit straight people in a lot of ways that I think that they don't realize, you know, whether it's the thing of men can't cry or can never be sensitive or can never explore like different ways of dressing themselves or expressing themselves.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting. Like gender roles just, I think, are not good for anybody because not everybody fits into a box. And I think that that's more common than people sometimes realize or believe. And it's interesting that, you know, some folks in the queer community work really hard to deconstruct those things. And I think some people are not quite there yet.
Exactly. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. It is interesting. It is interesting. And so many thoughts at once. But I'm going to try to stay on task here. I'm going to try. Can you tell us about any particularly memorable performances you've given?
Oh my God. So, so what I will say is I went to this house party, and Nicolas Cage did a performance, and there were like 40 or 50 people there. It happened way later than it was supposed to because that's how I run my life, as you can tell from the fact that I was 30 minutes late to this. But yeah, so the performance starts and I have this bit. My drag style is one that I have not seen before, which, you know, not to have a big dick about it, but I essentially combine improv and more traditional like lip sync, which... Yeah, so I think one of the tough things about that and why I love creating my own spaces like running Hen House as Nicolas Cage is because that is not a form of drag that I think fits into most typical drag shows. And so it's because it just like requires more time. I have a narrative a lot of the time. Right. So this particular narrative is Nicolas Cage is a straight man. It's very important to him that everybody knows that, but he's also for sure struggling with some bisexual inclinations, and he's not ready to talk about it though. And he only does gay stuff because he wants to endear himself to the gay community so that one day he can win an Oscar by non-problematically playing gay on screen. He hears that that's a great way to get the Oscar.
It's just for the role.
Just for the role. Exactly. He's just he's out here doing Meisner. I don't. God. Really, no.
God, I'm dying right now. A real quick little line from Joe here. He said that he's going to be prepared for Thursday. He will be tucked and taped away. He will.
Oh, well, thank God. Thank God. Obviously, I will not. I will not. I will be strapped up and unbound because...
Yeah, man. Oh, this is going to be so much fun.
But so Nicolas has this act, basically. I don't know if you can hear that, but I moved while wearing jeans on a leather chair. I'm not just like ripping insane farts during this interview. But so Nicolas has this whole routine where basically he storms into an audition for like a queer film. And he declares that he's tired of, as a straight cis white man, being told always what he can and cannot do, and that he was inspired by his favorite audition monologue from Rocky. And then I attempt, it's like, I don't know, Rocky, I don't even think I've seen the movie. But I was like furiously Googling, I was like, men's monologue bizarre. And so then I do like a version of this monologue. It's kind of become part of the bit now that I never get it correct. But the gist of it is that you have to believe in yourself, or you'll never make anything of yourself. So he's like, don't worry, you know, I'm just like you. Like, the human experience is a human experience, and I'm going to demonstrate that I know what the gay community is about. But, you know, and I'm not afraid to really go there. And then I have a man in the audience stand up, and Dickless is like, I love you. And then, however, then, you know, it goes on, and and the rest of it is supposed to be, I perform Todrick Hall's, like a segment of Todrick Hall's Dick This Big. Because after that happens, I'm like, but I know that it's not really about love. It's really about sex. And so then Dick This Big starts playing. And then I'm like, I also know about the bisexuals. And you know, I'm gonna, and like, I know that I make this joke. I follow an Instagram account, LG no B or T, but I like try to edit that depending on what I think the audience is, because I don't like, they're not gonna get the joke. Or sometimes like gay people are like, and I'm always like, it's not that problematic, don't worry about it.
Right.
So I'm then like, this is the bisexual anthem, and it's I Kissed a Girl by Katy Perry.
Dude.
Yeah, no, exactly. One of the worst things that's ever happened to bisexuals. And then the last thing that I do is I'm like, I also think that men should be allowed to play women. Like, I don't understand why there's this barrier, and I'm going to prove it to you now. And then I do both parts of Promiscuous by Timbaland and Nelly Furtado, and thus concludes. Now, at this particular show, right, where it was this house show, I was like, okay, I need a man to stand up. And the party wasn't actually as gay as I think that I was assuming it was, because I assume that everything's as gay as I am, and I should know that, because most things aren't. And so I didn't want to, like, you know, gender anybody and be like, you stand up. So I was just like, will a man please stand up? And then nobody stood up. So I was like, okay, I know that there are men in here because I'm looking at them. So I need a man in here to stand up. But then every man in the room stood up. And I was like, this bit is about to get out of hand, but I will never say die. So I think that there were probably like 30 people who stood up. And so I ended up going around this room and doing a small improv. It started off with like, I love you, but then I had to get more and more elaborate, I think. And then I finished out the show. And at the end of it, I think that I ended up, what is supposed to be like a 15, 16 minute long performance ended up being 45 minutes long. And
dude, you yes-anded 30 people, Kenny.
100%. And I think it was really great to watch people slowly realize that the entire thing was improv. And because all of them were just like, and I think all of them just kept waiting for me to either like give up or run out of things to say. And I was like, no, bitch, I did not go to theater school to ever turn down a role. Like, I am getting in there. And then
Super Mario Brothers 2 level difficulty right there.
Yeah, no, exactly. And after the show, I had a bunch of people come up to me and be like, that was the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life, which was like super flattering. But also, I just really didn't anticipate that people were going to react to Nicolas Cage that way. And then other people would come up to me and were like, I think that you gave every straight man in this room a sexuality crisis, because
mission accomplished.
Exactly. So, you know, I'm out here proliferating the gay agenda accidentally.
You hear that, Tucker Carlson? Come at us.
Yeah, right.
That's cool. That's really cool. So staying on this though, tell us about your show, The Hen House. What inspired it? How long? Well, first, how long have you been doing it?
So, I did my first show in February, and so the two that I have coming up will be my fifth and my sixth. which I'm super excited about. It's definitely a really new show. I think that I was on a drag and comedy show in DC, and I thought that it was super cool, but I was really inspired by that idea of combining drag and comedy, but I wanted to do it my way with a particular structure. I love to do things my way. And so I ended up talking to, I know the owner of the Port Comedy Club, and he's obviously like taken off and like rocketed into the atmosphere with this comedy club. But we did like a lot of open mics together. He put me on the first show he ever ran before the comedy club opened, which was super amazing. So we have a really good relationship. And I sort of pitched this idea to him, and he was like, yes, absolutely, I love it. And I think it was just really special to me because, you know, sort of like I was saying, I think in many scenes, but especially in the Baltimore scene, there are just so many incredible comedians who are women and who are queer, and they just do not like get the ups that they deserve, and they don't get the stage time that they deserve. And I think also, I mean, I do not know of, besides like actual drag shows, I think that there are not really very many, and of course, like I'm sure that if anybody from Baltimore listens to this, they're gonna roast me and be like, actually, that's not even true. But you know, like, I don't know of anything like that in terms of like creating and cultivating a consistent space that is like supposed to be focused on queer joy and celebrating like queer art. So I think I just like feel unbelievably blessed, and it is my baby. Like, I am so neurotic about that show. I'm like too neurotic about that show.
I feel you. You're speaking my language. Neuroses.
Oh, 100%, because I just want it to be incredible every time. And I think that I was asked to do it as a weekly show, but I turned that down, even though that would be really incredible because I am so poor. But I think that the reason I turned it down is I just was concerned that my network of people who I like love to work with, and really who are just like killers, is not yet massive enough that I feel like I can put on a weekly show and maintain the quality that is like very important to me.
I get it. I get that. That makes a lot of sense. Wow, Kenny. Yeah, you were born for this. What kind of, you mentioned wardrobe, but what other kinds of preparation do you typically do before a performance?
Oh my God. I take a shower 5 minutes before I'm supposed to leave. I then do my makeup in the car. I show up to the venue about 10 minutes late after sending an unbelievably apologetic Instagram DM to everyone who's on the show. And then I come running in there and I get a beer, and then I sit down and I watch the show. And then I get called up on stage.
Kenny, I think they call that winging it.
I think that my biggest, like, I wouldn't say that I have any pre-show rituals because I'm just too disorganized. And I think especially I still, especially for bigger shows, I like to be very intentional about assembling sets. But I think for, like my 10-minute sets, definitely my 5-minute sets, I like to, or even sometimes if they give me, like 15, I like to just sort of go off the cuff, if you will. And I think that there is something that really is joyous to me. I love callbacks, so I will intentionally set up callbacks, but instead, in terms of the like unrelated to the callback jokes, I find it really fun the more comfortable I get performing, to just sort of like, what joke do I want to do right now, and let me pop that one out. But I think that my biggest thing with shows that I do try to make ritualistic in some ways is that is like way less popular than I personally feel it should be. Is I really, it's important to me that I watch the entire show, that I sit down and I love to laugh. I laugh real loud. And I tried when I first started out in the comedy scene, I fake laughed a lot because I hate when jokes don't land. I like nervously laugh when there's just silence after a joke. But I have become better at not doing that because I feel like sometimes it makes me feel like I'm co-signing a joke. And if it's, you know, a bad joke or especially a problematic joke, I simply can't and won't.
I get it.
But I think that it's really important to me to watch the rest of the show and support the other comedians. And I think that a lot of comedians don't do that. And they either stay in the green room or they just sort of like, you know, talk amongst themselves in the back or do their own thing or, you know, smoke outside, whatever they need to do, which is totally fine. And I also forget that sometimes like people do have pre-show rituals that they need to do. But I think it's once again, like a community building thing for me. And I think, you know, also after you finish your set, like, I think it's good form to then sit and watch the rest of the performers if you're no longer like trying to center yourself or whatever, because everybody's out here working hard and everybody is like trying their best and, you know, wanting to be good at what they do. And I think that, you know, even having the performers from the show in the audience is like however many more audience members in there. And I think it's just like, it's a really good, beautiful feeling to have folks who are doing what you're doing, especially if you like respect them and think that they're talented, to show up for you that way. And I think it's like a beautiful feeling. And if I can give that to somebody for free, like, let me do it.
Yeah. I feel that. Absolutely. Mad respect. So do you not get any like nerves or anything?
I do. I have anxiety oftentimes on the way to the venue. One of my partners is very kind and drives me to most of my shows. And in the car, I will have at least one light breakdown where I'm like, I'm so nervous. I'm like, I don't think it's and then as soon as we get to the venue, I'm like, hey, everybody, like, and I think, yeah, like walking up, I think once I get on stage, I like am very comfortable. I also think, you know, it was definitely a lot more stressful when I was more new to it. And I think I did the Seattle International Comedy Competition in November, and I did not even get close to winning. But that's okay. I was like way out of my league, and like I'm flattered that I was there. But it taught me so much. Like in 3 days of being there, I think that I grew more as a comedian than I had in, you know, just like many months of going to open mics and whatnot, because there is something really incredible about getting to watch people who are better than you. It's also like slightly crushing. But it was like a really extraordinary experience. And I think one of the things that it really changed for me is how comfortable I was on stage. And also I need to stop trying to, I love my jokes so much that I was always trying to like smash 7 minutes of jokes into 5 minutes, and it like never went well. But I think, yeah, you know, the more nervous I get, the more performative I get. And I think that the audience hates that. They just want to feel like you are chatting with them. And like, it's a very like calm, cool, chill guy conversation. And, you know, so I still have high energy and I'm still as a performative as a person, but I think that there is like, I have a much greater amount of ease on stage than I used to. And I think I feel much more able to engage the audience than I used to when I was like younger and newer.
Right. So I can see that confidence is a big key for a successful performance. What are some other keys that you see to a successful performance?
Oh my God. thoughts and opinions about everything. I know that you keep asking questions that should have like a 2-sentence answer, and I'm like, well, once when I was a boy.
Hey, that's what this is all about, you know. That's what this is all about, you know.
But
Please.
yeah, so I think is this when I'm performing or when I'm producing?
That's an interesting distinction. Well, I think the confidence that you mentioned that seems rather key for your own performance. But when you're producing a show, I would like to know what is the key to that success?
So, in my personal opinion, I think that having a good show, for me, it's being very intentional about who I book, and I think, you know, not. I have a lot of comedians who return to my shows. And I think that is because if I think that you're talented, if I like you as a person, if I see you consistently kill, like I will ride for you. If I have the opportunity, I will suggest you for other opportunities and I will book you on my shows, especially if you have enough material to not do the same material all the time.
Sure.
I think that having a diversity of comedic styles and like life experiences is really important for me. I think that if you have a lineup, I've just been on many shows where by the end of it, if there were like a lot of comedians, I like could not for the life of me tell them apart or like remember different jokes because they all sort of were in the same lane. And I think that there are a lot of shows like that, and that's you know, like that's a choice that people can make. But I think that for me, the more different comedic styles, different kinds of energy, like different subject material that you can have, the better, because no matter who your audience is, like they're gonna think somebody's funny. You know, they gotta like something. And so I think that is also really important. And I think what I'm learning more and more is the lineup and how you structure it. And yes, like who do you have going after who do you have in the beginning, who do you have in the middle, who do you have in the end? If there is, you know, somebody who like I think that, you know, if there are two comedians who I think have either like similar energies or similar styles or whatever, I will try to space them out because once again, I think that, and that's one of the things I love about combining drag and comedy is I think that they are very complementary energies, but very different energies. And I think that the drag performances help to like really lift and shift the energy in the room. And then it like primes people, gets people ready for more comedy. And yeah, and I think, you know, on the off chance that somebody, if the crowd just like isn't loving somebody, not because they're not talented, but just because not everybody is for everybody, then if you have somebody with a very different style go after them, I think that you have the opportunity to like reorient the crowd and the way that their energy is after that.
Yes.
So I think that's what I have found for producing. And then for performing, I think, is this like what makes a good, what makes a good performance for me? No, I remember, I'm there. Okay. I think that having that confidence, I think choosing jokes that I both really like and want to tell. I think not trying to cater my material to the audience, which, you know, it's a bold move. I went to the Eastern Shore of Maryland and I did this show at this, like, it was like a bar, and I knew that it was going to be wild because I, of course, wore an insane outfit with titties on display. And one of my partners, or I guess both of my partners, are quite butch and like very clockably gay. And we walked in there and like every townie was just like we were like, oh my God. And then, like most of the audience was like probably over 45. I always do a little temperature check. I'm always like, are there any queer people in here? And there were like 2 of them. And I was like, strap in because it's happening. And I won't say that Denton loved me, but I will say that I had a blast. And that was I was like, don't cater your material to your audience. And then I was like, this is an example of a time when that went poorly. But
right. Oh,
no, but I think for the most part, it is like it as like somebody who is queer, as somebody who is non-binary, as somebody who like presents like a woman, I am often performing for crowds who are nothing like me. And I think that also has made me a better comedian because it means that I have to be just that much better and have to work that much harder to win over audiences who like don't share my experience.
Right. I've heard that called resistance training.
Yeah. No, exactly. And so I think, every time that I don't cater my material, like it is often, I have a higher success rate than I anticipated.
Oh, yeah. I love to hear that.
Yes. And I think that that's also like a really incredible feeling and a really incredible experience. But I think, like choosing jokes that I really love, that I want to tell, assembling my callbacks beforehand, making sure that I'm leaving enough time to sort of engage with the audience, interact with the audience, and mostly, just having that confidence and that ease on stage and being like, you know what, if nothing else, like I'm going to make myself laugh. Like I'm going to have fun. Hey. So even if the audience isn't fucking with it, like there are worse things.
Right. Wow. Yeah, Kenny, I consider performance a kind of magic, and just hearing you talk about it, both, from your experience as a performer or a producer, you're a full-blown wizard. Like it just wow. Like I'm picking up so much of what you're putting down, and from the producer aspect, I mean, like that is valuable information about the lineup and just the order and everything. I kind of naturally gravitate to stuff like that just due to my own OCD, again, neuroses, just like channeling it into this stuff, and it's like, it's like a pattern to me almost. So you gotta like have this and then this and then that, because the Snide Show ultimately is supposed to be a variety show. Like that's what my vision of it to be. And this is all connected, not only in entertainment, but just the pedigree of it, because drag, burlesque, variety shows, stand-up, sketch comedy, it all comes from vaudeville. Comes from vaudeville. I mean, and that's what I think is bizarre, or not really bizarre, but just very fascinating that we're kind of going back to vaudeville in a way with what we're doing. Just, again, the diversity of entertainment that you see, just all the different stuff. Maybe it's our shortening attention spans, but at any rate, it's all good stuff to me. So, do you have any tips for aspiring comedians or drag performers?
Yeah, I do. So I think for drag performers, do I? Yeah. Okay. So I think for drag performers, it can be really daunting to break into scenes, but I think go for it. Believe in yourself. Watch drag, especially like your local drag. Try to make connections where you can. Sometimes people will have sort of like the equivalent of an open mic for drag. If you have a style that you are really excited about, but that doesn't fit into the things that are already happening, like, once you get to a place where you feel like you can, maintain it, once you've practiced enough, start your own thing, like start your own space. I think especially for drag kings, I know that one of the things that was really hard for me in the beginning was that there aren't very many resources about how to like do your face if you're a king. I think that there are way more resources for queens because there are way more queens than there are kings. And so I think if you're an aspiring drag king, hit me up and I will help you with your makeup. But I think, yeah, practice means perfect. And I also think it is so much more important that you start doing it than that you get hung up on wanting things to be perfect or trying to like aspire to a level that you're not at because nobody starts off there, you know? So I think that's for drag. And then for comedians, I think a really big thing is stand-up comedy has a structure, and especially storytelling comedy has a structure. It's not just getting up there and like telling a funny story or talking about, you know, a funny thing that happened to you in your life. You need to have a set number of punchlines. Like the audience should never go more than like 3 sentences, but ideally less, without laughing. And there are ways to do that. There are ways to like insert punchlines into your story. I think a big thing is if you go to an open mic and something isn't working, try it at another open mic, but be willing to accept that that joke just like that can be one for you, but that it's not working and that's okay.
Don't be afraid to kill your babies, folks. Don't be afraid to kill your babies.
No,
it's really hard, but yeah.
It is. Or, you know, try to rewrite it. Or I think that if you have a funny idea, there is often a way to translate that into a good joke. It just like sometimes it takes you a hot second to find it. I also think, you know, obviously I am biased and I don't know that any listeners would be like this, but if you are still out here in this day and age telling transphobic ass, fatphobic ass, xenophobic ass, racist ass, you know, like whatever it is, if you are getting laughs by talking about a group that you are not a part of, you're not doing anything. If you are truly talented at what you do, you should be able to go into almost any room and get those laughs. And if you can't do your jokes in front of women, if you can't do your jokes in front of gay people, if you can't do your jokes in front of Black people, if you can't do your jokes in front of immigrants, you're not talented. You could be, but
sure.
You know, like it is limiting and it's lazy. And I think that you can't always count on a room full of people being exactly like you. And I think that that is what I have seen a lot of people do. And I think also find comedians who you can have a writing group with. I think that open mics can be really awesome for developing material, but I also think having other comedians, especially ones who are like more established than you, help with some jokes or, you know, like tightening up punchlines or saying, you know, I did this at an open mic and I think it's so funny, but it's not killing. Like, do you know why? Can be really, really helpful. Because, you know, once again, like, I think that engaging with people who are at a different like place than you are calls you higher and makes it easier for you to like grow and excel at like a larger or more rapid rate. And also, just as always, like go to comedy shows, watch people who are really good at what they do, be really good at what they do. And I think that it will also, like, you know, it'll be like a little night class. It'll be inspiring.
So
yeah.
Yeah. Man, I'm picking up everything you're putting down. I love it. Oh, I lost it. I lost my questions. Here we go. So can you tell us about any other creative pursuits you have besides comedy and drag performance?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm also a theater artist. I love to act and I love to direct. But right now I've actually mostly been doing playwriting. because I think that one of the things that was really hard about acting for me, and especially as somebody who like is just different. I don't fit into a lot of the boxes that I think people expect of traditional actors. And okay, Mom. Thank you so much. Okay, so yeah. So I think that being an actor was hard because in order to get on stage, you had to, in approximately 5 to 10 minutes, convince a stranger of what you're capable of and hope that they could see you in your truth. And I think a lot of people can't. I think that especially when you are non-binary, if you're not unbelievably skinny, if you are a person of color, if you're visibly queer, like whatever it is, whether it is looks, whether it's the tone of your voice, if it's just like the energy that they get from you, I think that it can be really demoralizing to constantly be rejected from other people's projects. But know that like you are unbelievably talented and you are capable of so much. And I think the thing that I fell in love with about stand-up is I love to make people laugh, and I love to process my trauma on stage in front of other people. And also, and most importantly, you throw yourself into a jury of your peers. If you are good at what you do, like it will work out, and if you are not, it will not. And there is no, like obviously you want bookers to take notice of you, but you do that by building your own brand. It is like a very self-starter type of thing. Nobody else has to believe in you in order for you to go prove yourself. And I think that is like really intoxicating. And I think, the older that I get, if anyone asks, I'm 23 though. I do a lot of skincare.
I think you pass 23.
Thank you so much. But yes, so the older I get and the more that I, exist in the performance sphere, I think the more, oh God, oh no, not the ADD, this Adderall shortage is killing me. Okay. What?
Stand up some meritocracy.
Oh my God. Yes. Okay. So the more that I like do art, the more that I feel so empowered in like my ability to create my own things and to prove myself that way. I think I have become much more interested in, creating my own art and my own spaces instead of trying to ask the people who often have more money than talent to believe in me or to invite me into their spaces. So right now I have 2 plays that one of them had a reading and I think is up for potential production in Baltimore. And that one is about Medusa. It's called But Who Loves Medusa? And the other one, it's called Love Me Tender right now, but that's a horrible name for it and I need to change it, but I'm so bad at naming things. And until I workshopped it with someone, the other one was called Medusa Play. So I think, but that one is about depression and small dogs. And I also am going to pitch a show. I would love to do this one-man show called Every Brilliant Thing that I saw many years ago and that really changed my life. And it's this beautiful comedy about this man whose mom was suicidal for his whole life. And he made a list as a child of every brilliant thing in the world that she had to live for. So it's like really incredible. It's really beautiful. And I would love to do that and to have the opportunity to like share that story with other people because I think it really deserves to be shared.
I just knew you were a writer. So like I had that question because I presume like I just, but I wanted to know like that you yeah. I don't know why I just got that vibe.
I'm glad.
So I think that wraps up the Hot Sqoop. Next we got Topical Punch. Well, something in between first, because, well, first of all, because this actually led to a couple questions. Well, I'll ask the first one first. ADD2. So, it's not a secret. I do use a little bit of AI in my stuff just because I'm a one-man band and I'm spinning a lot of plates, and it kind of just helps me sometimes when I got like writer's block, or if I just need to summarize things, or for more ideas. And I was using ChatGPT to come up with some interview questions. You know, I fed it some data about you, and I had my own like set of 10 questions that I started out with and was trying to stretch them out and everything. And so, you know, a lot of times this stuff, it comes up with nonsense. You know, but even that's fun sometimes to play with. And this one specifically, out of nowhere, apropos of nothing, we were in the middle of figuring out questions to ask you, and out of nowhere, it gives me 25 questions about Marina Abramovic. Do you know who Marina Abramovic is?
Oh my God, the performance artist, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I do know about her. I do.
And it was kind of spooky. I had never heard of this artist, and I was looking into it. And then afterwards, you know, just because, you know, I part of the experiment is just figuring out what this AI stuff is. And so I was like trying to figure out like how was this mistake made? And the only thing, and I love it too, because chat will sometimes be like, I don't know, man. It must have been something you did. And I'm like, well, how did I make this? How did I make you come up with like, and something about, I suppose, the context, this person, ChatGPT somehow associated you with.
I love it.
Isn't that bizarre?
It is.
So,
it is.
Take that as you will.
I will. I'm going to do some soul searching and some Googling about that later.
Right. Just go down a whole rabbit hole and figure out why did the robots think you two were connected.
Exactly. Kindred spirits.
Exactly. So the other thing, I had this question in the middle of our conversation here, and I just wanted to know, are you familiar with King Princess?
I am. Yes, I am.
Okay. Just had to make sure. Just like, because if not, I was going to be like, I recommend. It just cool, like blending of like drag performance with other art forms. And it was actually the makeup thing, because they do some amazing things with their makeup that just like bring out the jaw and like, you know, so yeah, really cool stuff. So, moving on to Topical Punch, the headline humor segment where we usually start local, work our way global, and then blast off into space with science news. But today we have an Oops All Science edition of Topical Punch. How do you feel about science, Kenny?
I mean, I love it and I believe in it, but it's not my best.
Yeah. From a liberal arts college.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Well, I too am always blinded by science, but I just simply can't look away. The first bit of science news, it's kind of gross. Thought to be safe. I don't know if you've seen these new food packages that people have been using for a little bit.
Oh God, I just ate something out of those.
Well, they were thought to be safe, but the replacement PFAS used in food packaging are actually hazard. PFAS stands for per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. These are a large group of human-made chemicals that have been used in a variety of industrial and consumer products, including firefighting foam, non-stick cookware, food packaging, and water-resistant clothing. They are known to be persistent in the environment, meaning that they do not break down easily and can accumulate in living organisms over time. Some of them have been associated with negative health effects, such as cancer, hormone disruption, and immune system suppression. So it turns out that these replacement PFASs that were used, which were meant to be a safe replacement, are actually breaking down into toxic compounds quite quickly. A recent study found that it was especially in fast food packaging. These harmful molecules can seep into our food and water supply as well once discarded. So it probably didn't poison you by eating out of it, but throwing it in the trash and then it staying out there and stuff. Not great. The study was conducted by a team of researchers from various institutions, including Indiana University, Green Science Policy Institute, and Environment and Climate Change Canada. But don't worry, fast food companies are making a commitment to becoming PFAS-free by 2025. So we've only got a few more years of contaminated food to look forward to. Just a couple more years. Ride it out.
Although, of course, then, there's the unbelievable, probably much more lasting damage done to the environment that just keeps me up at night. But
the turtles, the fish, I know. But you know what? We got it. What we got to do is just let it go. Just let it go. And the living organisms that can't handle it, they'll be rooted out. And then, we'll mutate into a version of life that can coexist with these PFASs. Just become a part of the environment,
That's optimistic, but
so moving along, folks, to a little bit more bittersweet news. A study finds legalization of same-sex marriage does positively have a positive impact on mental health and LGBTQIA plus individuals. A new study shows that legalizing same-sex marriage will have a positive impact on the mental health of LGBTQIA individuals. Researchers conducted an online survey of over 5,800 respondents and found that 95% of them welcomed the legalization of marriage. The study highlights the potential benefits of legalizing same-sex marriage. It's a study titled "The Anticipated Impact of LGBTQIA plus Marriage Equality Legislation on Indian Society and Mental Health," based on online survey. It's just repeating that. While the marriage will not guarantee societal acceptance, many respondents mentioned that legalization of marriage would create a stronger sense of community and social support and enable them to secure essential rights, says Megha Sharda, a neuroscientist and co-author of the study. So who would have thought? Who would have thought you're more accepting of people and they feel a little better? I can't believe we needed a study to confirm that, but
right. But here we are.
So, I mean, but honestly, I just can't wait for the new influx of pride-themed Bollywood flicks and weddings. I mean, have you seen Indian weddings? I mean, they're already like beautiful, gorgeous, colorful events. Like they're going to be even more so.
So true. So true.
Cool stuff. Cool stuff.
Nothing like multi. Nope, I have nothing. No, but that is, who would have thought? Who would have thought that being able to have rights and some degree of community acceptance would make people happy and more mentally well? There is.
Science.
Right? Science, indeed.
So moving on to the next piece of science. So as I teased earlier, like I myself, I'm a bi boy. I've talked about it on the show a couple times. I'm not, it's not like a secret or anything, but I ultimately worship femininity, which is why I'm not like, in your face about it or anything, because I ultimately, I do lean towards feminine individuals. And it may be helping me in more ways than previously thought. Smells influence metabolism and aging. Don't hold your breath, because a new study by the University of Otago has found that smells influence metabolism and aging. That's right, it's not just your eyes and ears that can deceive you. Your nose can trick you too. According to the researchers, exposure to female odors and pheromones can cause weight loss and extend the lifespans of mice, which could have implications for humans too. So if you want to live longer and shed some pounds, just start sniffing around the gym. See what you can find.
Oh, wow, this is absolutely shocking. And I feel that my dedication to natural deodorant is probably taking me out of the running for that.
Really?
Because 100%, you know, like I always aspire to smell good and I always start off there. Then 12 hours into the day, I'm like, this is an unacceptable situation.
Yeah.
But I have to carry it with me for constant reapply. There is.
I feel you. Something about like when I turned 30, I don't know. I went sour or something. I can't even stand myself anymore. It's insane. It's insane. So I need, you know, I need some more, you know, I don't know, but maybe I need to get, you know, some sort of female pheromones or something, you know, help me stay young a little bit, you know.
100%. Just spray them. However they're giving them to the mice, they can give them to the rest of us.
That's a good question. You just,
you know. Forever young, and apparently I can't rely on my own pheromones. Although what I will say is I have had a lot of partners who were super into the way that I smell without deodorant. So that's super cute for me. And also perhaps, you know, my pheromones will keep them young. But
there you go. It's it's symbiotic.
Yes, exactly. It's not all pheromones will keep everyone young. You have to find the pheromones that work for you. It's
so true. It's so true. It still grosses my girlfriend out. She claims to never smell me, which I can't believe that. But it grosses her out that I like her smells. I'm like, no, you don't got to shower today. It's fine. You know? we can just, you know, she's like, ew, you know.
Oh my God, she is missing out because there is nothing quite like being. I'm running away from the sun. There is nothing quite like having somebody who's like, no, you do smell good, and
she's
you can
taking it for
rest.
granted. Yeah, she's taking it for granted, isn't she? Yeah,
it's so true.
Yeah, so oh no, she's the sane one in the relationship, and that's how it works. It's the only way it can work. So I could go all evening. This has been a blast, and I love that this is a preview for Thursday because and for folks watching in the future, the stream should already be out by now, and we had a blast, didn't we?
We had such a blast.
Time, it's crazy. So yeah. So please, we're at the end of the show. So please, let's plug up before we shut up. Kenny, let the folks at home know where to find more of you.
Okay, well, I am on Instagram as @Kenny Rooster Comedy. It is spelled exactly how it sounds, and my name is spelled Kenny. And a lot of the time people, like, everybody's always like, oh, you spell it with 2 I's. And I'm like, no, who does that? Like, I mean, that's cute. Like, go for it. But also, like, why? So anyway, to allay any confusion, it is Kenny. And yeah, I am floating around Baltimore. I am trying to do more travel. So if anybody sees this and is inspired to get me to your city, please do. And if anybody's ever in Baltimore, I run a weekly show at Brewer's Cask in Fed Hill, and those 2 monthly shows at the Port Comedy Club the last Thursday of the month and the following Saturday.
Awesome. You are a true pro, a true professional. And folks, of course, Snide Studios everywhere, Corey the Curator everywhere. And we'll be back actually in an hour or two with the Mullet Influencer with a new segment on here, Stalk of the Town, where we're gonna pick a little fun at our local community, all in good fun, obviously. And have a great evening, everyone, and stay snide.
Woo, woo, woo.